She had it in her mind. If we get to, if we're only this at 35k, I've got to go. I've got to go. If I can get near to the time that I think I'm capable of. Assefa, she still looks full of running. I wonder if we'll see her keep her foot on the pedal the whole way to the finish, or whether she'll just be confident to break the championship record, or whether she wants to take it as low as she possibly can.
I think she wants the win, but interesting, if you do the maths roughly, she's coming up to the 25th mile, so we should have a split for that coming up. So it's not like she's got 2 miles to go. She is just over a mile. She's coming up to Big Ben. We'll probably see the London Eye on the right at some point if the camera goes that way, but she just looks like she's running with a face of just firm kind of aggression, a real kind of classy kind of, I've come here to do a job and I'm doing it and I'm seeing it through. She has had the odd sort of look back a bit all over in that regard, but that's clearly part of right in cue. She takes a drink. I mean, I talk a lot about athletes taking these drinks, but I think that's one of the big changes to a marathon these days, is the importance that athletes, and especially coaches, when they're communicating to even though she
ฝ่ายหญิงถ้าไม่มีอะไรผิดพลาดก็คิดว่าเกมน่าจะไม่พลิกแล้วนะ Assefa น่าจะได้ที่1
brain that you've still got energy, because that's part of what happens in the marathon. You're running out of energy, so just taking a swig will just give her mentally a boost, and that ketone effect to see her through the last mile or so, and it's not actually going to get into her muscles, but it's all part of the mind game. So looking like just inside women, she's going to have to hold on here, because that's tight.
28:47 at 40 kilometres. She's gone the wrong side of Paula Radcliffe's splits for that course record. And that she is still looking full of running here, Assefa. And I wonder, you at this point in the race, you're absolutely exhausted. You've managed to break your competitors and you're in the lead. Is there anything left in your mental resolve to say, let's just smash this last mile, let's just go as fast as possible? Or do you just, it's that sort of fight or flight? You're not in a danger situation anymore. You haven't got that sort of fear to draw on. Surely you're just going to slow down a little bit.
I think with the nature of the way this race has been run, because it's very much about, there's London Eye in the background, is very much how it's run to that point and the level of fatigue you're carrying into it. Looking at Sarway's body language, it looks a little bit more laboured. He's looking at his watch, a little bit more of a grimace. This is, the gap looks I'm trying to see in the background. This is very hard to read, but again, this is not a foregone conclusion. That by no means write off what the athlete's chasing behind, because not just because they're world-class athlete. I see a bike in the background, so I bet this athlete's not far. Yes, I'm right. Kiplimo is quick. But this is about, has Sarway gone too soon? Has he gone too hard? I certainly feel like if he'd have waited a couple more K,
ยังไหวดูจากหน้าตาแล้วยังไหวครับ
to go or 6K, you'd have a bit more confidence you can hold it. But he's going to get to this mile or two to go, and he's going to be feeling it. He's a world-class athlete and he can hold on, but this is going to tell us a lot about him and his resolve and how he goes. And it's getting hot now. I haven't seen many of them take any cooling off like sponges or anything like that, and that's something again that certainly with the athletes I help spoke about, that you need to make certain you preempt getting hot. So these are all things that are going to play in. We've still got a good 20 minutes to go here. This is hotting up, to use that analogy.
Well, it is Jacob Kiplimo, I think, there in second place. All on his own. There was a couple of them.
คนที่2ตามหลังมานี่น่าจะคิปลิโม่นะถ้ามองไม่ผิด
But I haven't seen Sebastian Sarway look back.
น่าจะ
seems to ignore any drink station there. There are a lot of drink stations out for the elites. But Sebastian Sarway, if he looked over his shoulder, he would see the wonderful Jacob Kiplimo.
ชื่อซาเวย์ครับไม่ใช่ซาเวียครับ
Still Jacob Kiplimo there in second place. That's not
คิปลิโม่เหมือนเริ่มตามมาติดๆแล้วนะรองเท้าเขียวใช่คิปลิโม่ครับ
However, Tigst Assefa, I think, does have a winning lead. She's just entering birdcage walk here in the women's race. 2 hours 12 on the clock. Which at this point in the race in 2024, there was a group of them. There was 4 of them alongside each other, pushing and shoving, pushing each other in terms of pace, and clashing around that final corner. Tigst Assefa did clash with Perez Chepchirchir and had to settle for second place, but she's got the road all to herself for these final few right-hand turns. She's opened up nearly a minute ahead of Jocelyn Jepkosgei, and Sifan Hassan is 3 minutes behind in third place, but Havin Desi is closing the gap on Sifan Hassan. Desi just 30 seconds away from the podium at the moment. That's going to be a real pressure moment for Hassan in these closing miles. But Tigst Assefa, thanks to a wonderful last 10-15 minutes, has given herself a nice calm finish to the 2025 London Marathon.
Is there such a thing as a calm finish to a marathon? Even if you're feeling good, the crowd, the buzz. Do you know what? It's one of those funny things. You get to this point, even the greatest athletes must feel that almost, I just want to get there now. And that sort of, if you're in, that dream state where you're kind of running on sand and you can't really move, it's almost like, it's not quite like that, but there's almost like your brain starts picturing the finish line before it's actually happened, and you have to remember that you have to get there. And so there's kind of that mind games you start playing between enjoyment, fatigue and all that. But hopefully she'll break into a smile and realise that she's done what any world-class athlete should do when they're disappointed. Again, I say silver medal at the Olympics is not disappointing, but for her, she's unwritten a wrong. She felt that she deserved that Olympic gold medal, and winning the London Marathon is as big an event as it comes. Winning any marathon major is huge, and Olympic marathon is huge, but now she's got a silver medal and what looks like, I think she might just be outside the women's only world record, but she won't care. She's come here to do a job and to win, and she's going to do it in style.
Those times to keep an eye on: the course record of Paula Radcliffe that stood for 22 years, 2 hours 15:25. I think that's going to be too far for Assefa at the moment. She's not passed through the 385 yards to go in front of Buckingham Palace. The women's only world record, the mark set by Perez Chepchirchir when she won here in London Marathon last year, 2 hours 16:16. There she goes, underneath 385 yards to go in front of Buckingham Palace. Tigst Assefa could very much break the women's only world record if she can keep the pace on, keep the pressure on here. She's had a wonderful career so far, Tigst Assefa, and she's still pretty young. Arrived on the scene with that world record run at 2:11:53, breaking Bridget Koskai's world record by over 2 minutes. That's now the second fastest mark of all time. She came second here to Perez Chepchirchir in the London Marathon in 2024. She's struggling to find the right route here, but she's going to the arms. She's driving here to Tigst Assefa. It was silver in Paris at the Olympic Games, and she's trying.
โอ้โหสุดจัดอาเซฟา2 ชั่วโมง 15 นาที 49 วินาทีครับผมลอนดอนมาราธอนปีนี้เป็นของอาเซฟาครับฝ่ายหญิงครับผมยินดีด้วยครับจากทีม Adidas
Right, Chris, I think the just keeping an eye on what's happening in second and third here. Jocelyn Jepkosgei was in second place for a long time. She had fallen a minute or so behind Tigst Assefa, but there is a charge on from Havin Desi of Ethiopia. Havin Desi is going to have her first podium finish in a major marathon for sure. She has managed to get herself ahead of Sifan Hassan.
Well, it'll be her first finish of a major marathon. She's DNF'd a few. She is winner of Rotterdam, she is winner of Osaka, but she's yet to finish a marathon major. What better way to do it on a podium?
A very tired Jocelyn Jepkosgei passes through 385 yards to go. A nervous look over her shoulder. Jocelyn
นี่ครับซีฟานัสซานครับเข้าอันดับ3ครับผมยินดีด้วยครับ2 ชั่วโมง 18.59 ครับเปิดเสียงไม่ได้จริงๆฟังแบบลอยๆไปก่อนแล้วกันมันมีเพลงพอได้ยินกันใช่ไหมครับ
finish a major marathon, obviously a world-class athlete in her own right, and I'm sure that will do her conference a lot of good. But Assefa just on her, I mean, she really closed hard to get that women's only world record. It drifted a bit, but to throw in a 5:03, I'm interested to see what her last 5K was because that was impressive. It felt like she was. But she got it. And just the contrast in the way she finished that last 100 compared to the next 3 athletes actually. They've all, it's funny, you win the race and you kind of have a spring in your step, and it's not that the other athletes don't have a spring of happiness, but obviously if you don't win it's because you've probably gone to the well that little bit more. But fantastic racing, and I think that was a well-deserved victory, and no jostling or no elbow barging.
ฮัสซันตื่นเต้นครับลืมใส่นาฬิกามาครับ
Koskay and Assefa embracing in that kind of a mutual respect for what they've done. But she felt that last 100. That was treacle. That was that dream state running I was talking about. But she did great. And Hassan, what an athlete, and I'm sure she'll be proud to finish on the podium.
Hassan closed up a lot of time on Jocelyn Koskay in
last 5K there. The gap back to Hassan was
อิลิทชัยเปิดมาก็คลิปริโมก็แซงแล้วครับเชื่อผมเถอะ
It certainly wasn't that by the time we got to the finish line, but their race is done, their day is done here in London. To just Assefa,
ไม่ต้องซีเรียสครับไม่ต้องซีเรียสดูกันสนุก
Jocelyn Koskay second, and Safan Hassan another podium finish in third.
มาแล้วครับอิลิทเมนอ้าวยังเป็น
Sebastian Sawe still out in the lead here in this men's race with around about 10 or 11 minutes left to go. Did see some lightning quick mile splits from this guy at 4:18 the 20th mile, and he is still moving well. I think he's perhaps eased off that aggressive pace when he made the breakaway from the pack. Last time we saw the man, you could see Jacob Kiplimo in the background, and if he gets a sniff at Sebastian Sawe here, we can have a wonderful last 4 or 5 kilometres.
Oh my words, 13:56 5K. Oh my word, that's really.
You think there's an error in the time?
No, I back the guys doing it, but God, I felt that just sitting there. I don't know what to say about that. That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, he's.
ตากล้องครับขอชมหลังหน่อยครับมีใครตามมาไหมขอชมหลังหน่อยขอชมหลังโอ้โหไม่มีใครตามฮะคลิปลิโมผมหายไปไหนอะหายเฉยเฮ้ยเฮ้ยไกลแล้วนะ
Kiplimo's not running slowly here. Like, for that gap to be like that, Kiplimo probably ran in the region of a 14:25 5K, so he picked it up. I mean, that's so Sawe's had to put in a real shift to open that gap up, and he's not letting up. Those rises, again, they're just nuisances, and you get more crowds on the right-hand side as you're running because you can't get on the left. But he'll get that welcome relief of running next to the 10 shortly, seeing the London Eye. I'm sure he won't stop off for a quick visit.
เดี๋ยวคือพี่แกเปิดตั้งแต่โล30อะโคตรโหดนะครับ
Another very, very impressive marathon, and I think his coach is right. I think we're watching something very special, but I'd love to know what his overall split's looking at, because he's obviously had a look. I wish he could communicate with us what he's doing, but it'd be interesting to see, because I think this is with that kind of pace, that can render itself to a negative split, certainly.
Well, we saw that 59.45 from Kelvin Kipton when he set the course record in 2023, and this is a man that's clearly capable of a sub-60 second half as well. And Sebastian Sawe, you already mentioned the coaching stable he comes from, the Italian coach Claudio Baladari. He coached the likes of Martin Lell, Evans Chibet, two-time Boston Marathon champion, the one-time New York Marathon champion, Benson Kiprutu, who run Boston Marathon. You know, this training group, I think you surround yourself with greatness, it normalises it. And you almost say, well, yes, I do deserve to win a World Marathon Major because that's what all my mates do, they're all around me. And it gives you that confidence and that belief. And the question marks this week have really been around
เขาชื่อเซบาสเตียนซาเวย์ครับ
For a coach like him, he's got a lot of learnings from these previous athletes. A lot of 21 years of coaching is a long time, and when you coach the best, my coach Mark Rowland always used to say, you have to coach the best to really learn the finer, intricate details of elite running, whatever the distance is. And he's got a stable of athletes and a coach who really know their trade and really understand it. And there seems to be a lot of purpose and reason behind every decision they make. Even here, like, I felt like missing a drink station at roughly 30k was, why would you do that? 31k, whatever it was. And that's when he made his move. And we're entering 6-7 minutes to the end. And at the moment, it looks like it was the right thing to do, and clearly something the coach had probably said, you're fine to do it. So let's see him to the end. But I think when you have that history of learnings from the group and the stable, I think you're seeing potentially not just a great athlete, but a lot of years of experience going into potentially a very interesting journey that we're going to see going forward. And now he's going to have a drink. It's again, a lot of this drink will be around just trying to give the brain the information that you're okay. It's not really about getting it into the muscle. It's very much about just letting the body know.
Student, but then to take that science and apply it to an atmosphere, to a nation like Kenya where it's all instinct. He's loved kind of marrying up that scientific diligence to actually what works out there with these real people in the real world, especially a nation like Kenya that has so much talent and such a culture of endurance running. Jacob Kiplimo has done a fantastic job of damage limitation here. On his debut, the Ugandan is in second place, just 46 seconds behind it. I think that's fine when Sebastian Sawe has gone underneath 14 minutes for a 5k split.
I couldn't agree with you more, because that's what I said. Like,
ดูลอนดอนมาราธอนกันจบแล้วอย่าลืมกดติดตามเพจน้องใหม่ไฟแรงชื่อไลฟ์รันด้วยนะครับฝากเนื้อฝากตัวด้วยนะครับผมคนดู 9,600 คนคนดูเยอะกว่ายอดคนฟอลอีก
moving forward, and for Kiplimo to trying to take a step back, 14:20 for that 5k again. You know, you put in a 13:56. I'd like to think the next one's going to be a bit slower. I mean, he's nearly broken 28 minutes for 10k there. I mean, that's going to be all over the stats when you get the race breakdown afterwards of how that compares to other races. But he's kept the pressure on, and I think Kiplimo's done a fantastic job, like you say, is keeping this damage limitation. I think he should be, as long as he sees it out, he'll go away having a bit more of an understanding of not just the event, but what he needs to do and where the marathon event's at. Because, you know, Hassan talked a lot about how Ruth Chepngetich, world record of 2:09 set a bar. And so these athletes are always looking at where these bars are being set to try and go away, compete and do better. 4:53. That's doesn't really reflect the 14:20. So I'm assuming that's like that he probably threw in a fast 7k to 8k, and then a k a bit slower just to pull it back. But hey, listen, he's running quick. You'd like to think he's going to get tired. As great as an athlete it is, you'd like to think. And what a shot of Big Ben in the background, freshly cleaned up from a couple of years ago and all nice and glistening. I wonder if he looked at the clock of that, not just his watch, but
Yeah, don't need to check your watch. You've got the biggest clock in.
Yeah, biggest clock in London.
Just behind you. But Sebastian Sawe, he is slightly faltering here. The cadence has gone a bit. There's a bit of a grimace, and when you look straight on, there's a bit more sort of deviation in the running styles. There should be, because of what he's just done. And,
he's running a marathon. I mean,
what can you ask for?
Give the guy a break.
but I think it was I wonder if he wanted to see what happened if he went with 10k to go, and what's happened is yes, he's only got an insanely quick 5 or 7k in him, but it was a low risk strategy, because if you've got that 14 minute sub 14 minute 5k in your locker, you're going to have a big enough gap that you're okay. And I think Sawe, I think you could see him try this tactic again. I was wondering if he held that pace all the way to 10k next marathon.
โอ้ยคนดู 10,000 คนแล้วโอ้โหสุดยอดครับสวัสดีครับผม
Put other athletes onto the back foot to feel like they're almost helpless. So a lot of the time in life, you think you really find out who you are when you're under the biggest amount of stress and the biggest amount of fatigue, and you really find out your true.
ก่อนที่จะจบวันนี้นะฮะก็ขอขอบคุณผู้สนับสนุนทุกท่านนะฮะที่เลี้ยงกาแฟเข้ามาแล้วก็ผู้ส่งดาวด้วยนะครับแล้วขอบคุณกลุ่มไลฟ์รันนะครับที่ช่วยกันหารเพื่อให้ได้ดูงานนี้ได้นะครับถ้าไม่มีกลุ่มไลน์กลุ่มนี้นี่ไม่ช่วยกันหารนี่คือแบบแอดก็ไม่รู้จะเอาจากไหนมาซื้อแพ็กเกจมาให้ทุกคนดูนะครับขอบคุณทุกคนมากๆครับทั้งหมด 1300 กว่าคนครับขอบคุณครับสวัสดีครับ
Be forgiven for all those different things, because he did what he needed to do to win this race, which at 11k to go, he broke the hearts of the other athletes of a world-class field, and I think we're seeing the start of a very exciting journey. And I think this is going to probably be just outside a negative split, but like I think we're seeing someone very exciting, and he's going under the, was it 385 yards to go? Yards? We're in UK. What's yards?
Sebastian Sawe has put on a masterclass here in London. He's going all the way over to the left-hand side. Wants a closer look at Buckingham Palace. There are the
So fast he needs to take the apex of the curve. Sebastian Sawe
อ่ะ
unleashed
ฟังจากไมค์เอาแล้วกันเพราะเขาเปิดเพลง
kilometre split from 30 to 35k, and he's left the rest of the field in his wake. He's going to be very close to his lifetime best. He's the 5th fastest marathoner of all time, and here in his debut in the World Marathon Major
ฟังจากไมค์ได้ยินเสียงเพลงไหมครับ
in London, his second
เขาเปิดเพลงดังมาก
he is going to be the winner of the 2025 London Marathon. He joins the likes of Eliud Kipchoge, Kelvin
เดี๋ยวผมขอปิดไมค์เลยแล้วกัน สวัสดีคนไทยทุกคนนะครับสวัสดีครับ